Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tyler and I just do consistent content on all things relating hockey and the NHL overall. And yes, for you today, I have my 5 bold predictions for this year's 2020 NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. Yes, the NHL is finally back. It started today. We of course have 3 exhibition games going on and then more exhibition games in the coming days. And then this weekend, August 1st, the qualifying rounds officially start. I am so excited. Just having sports back in general is so exciting, but finally having hockey, I'm just so pumped. And with that being said, we have to look at playoffs now, right? We have to see when it comes to playoffs, there's so many predictions that people throw around and things like that, but especially when it comes to bold predictions, ones that maybe aren't necessarily the favorite prediction that more people are more interested in, thinking, oh, you're really stretching it there, but in reality, it is still a possibility. So I feel really strongly about my 5. I'm not sure if they will all become a reality, but I feel it would be hard to believe to say that if not at least 1 or 2 actually becomes a reality. But without further ado, let's get right into the video, shall we? But if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe and like button if you enjoy this kind of hockey content. I'm so close to 300 subscribers, so any love would really be appreciated. Trust me, you won't regret it. This is only the beginning of a lot of amazing and great things that happen on this channel. And as you can probably tell, if you are a previous listener, thank you for coming back. But I do have a new mic and a webcam, and I'm messing with the settings, so just bear with me if you see things kind of change going forward on my channel as I'm figuring out editing, getting better with my skills, and overall just with the software and all the mics and stuff like that I have. Just trying to get better at all this so it's more consistent and a better overall quality for you lovely people to watch. But without further ado, yes, we have the Avalanche as an example here for multiple teams that will rotate goalies on a game-by-game basis. They are just an example, but I don't think they'll be the only team. The New York Rangers could very well be the same situation. Same thing could be with the Columbus Blue Jackets, Calgary Flames. So many teams that have goaltending situations with at least a 1A and 1B type goaltending tandem. But I really think things are going to change in this year's playoffs where you finally have teams kind of taking a little bit of a risk, but playing their goaltenders on a game-by-game basis. So guys that say have a strong backup on that team, they're going to, of course, have a short leash to begin with if they are named the starter. But depending on how they're playing, you very well could have it where this one goaltender plays game 1 and 2, and then the other goaltender plays 3 and 4, depending on the situation. I think it's just more and more of a reality nowadays with so many teams, as I mentioned, that are going into playoffs with really uncertainty as to who is going to be their starter, or at least they're not telling the media yet. And I think it's very interesting. So many teams that are competing this year for the playoffs are teams that have very strong 1A and 1B type goaltending tandems. Vegas Golden Knights are a perfect example too, with Marc-Andre Fleury and Robin Lehner. That's a crazy 2-headed monster right there. But overall, I just think this will become a reality this year, and I really hope it does. I think it'll be very interesting, kind of a change in the game when it comes to playoffs, seeing something different. I think it's only the beginning of a lot of situations where we can see this happening going forward. But next up for my second prediction, yes, I have whoever wins this qualifying round series between, of course, the New York Rangers and the Carolina Hurricanes. Whoever wins that series will then go to the Eastern Conference Finals at least. Yes, this may be a bold claim, but here's my reasoning. Even with being a Rangers fan, I'm being completely unbiased here when we can all agree they have an electric offense led by the likes of Artemi Panarin and Mika Zibanejad. And they've had the Carolina Hurricanes a number this year. They swept them in the regular season, of course, but the Hurricanes have an amazing overall roster too, not just between likes Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen, Andrei Svechnikov, but that defense is just ridiculous when healthy. Dougie Hamilton was on a Norris caliber pace this past year until he unfortunately broke his leg in that game against the Columbus Blue Jackets earlier in the season. Jacob Slavin, who's the best defenseman in the league, in my opinion, and I'm going to talk about him more in the coming videos. And then you have Brett Pesce, who's a very strong, more stay-at-home defenseman, and Brady Shea, who they acquired it from the Rangers at the trade deadline earlier this past year. And then you have other guys on the blue line too. They're so stacked defensively speaking, and when healthy, they're truly a team that is going to be tough to go up against. Same with Sammy Vatanen, who has yet to play a game with Carolina. But overall, whoever wins this series, I fully expect them to have a deep run. If it's the Carolina Hurricanes, we all know what they did last year, being the bunch of jerks, you know, really coming out of nowhere and having a deep playoff run, taking off some very significant teams in the playoffs. They have that experience now. And then you have the Rangers, who, while they don't have the experience, they have a very fun, young, and exciting team, not just with that offense, but they have some very flashy guys on the blue line with Adam Fox, of course, Tony DeAngelo, Jacob Trouba, Ryan Lindgren, who's been fantastic with Fox on that defensive pairing, that rookie defensive pairing, might I add. And then, of course, the goaltending situation between Igor Shesterkin, Henrik Lundqvist, and Alexander Georgiev. So many possibilities there with who is going to start and who is going to stay the starter with that short leash, of course. But overall, I think they both have a very strong chance of having a deep playoff run. So whoever wins this qualifying round series, I should say, fully expect them to have a very deep playoff run to at least the conference finals. Next up for my third prediction, I'm sorry if you're a Caps or a Dallas Stars fan. This is nothing personal at all, but I honestly think both the Stars and the Capitals are going to lose in their first round of playoffs this year. When it comes to the Dallas Stars, it makes plenty of sense. You know, the Stars have had one of the worst offenses in the league this year, and I just don't trust their depth scoring at all. Don't get me wrong, that defense is fantastic, let alone the likes of course, Heiskanen, Klingberg, and of course, Esa Lindell, who's so underrated, and that goaltending tandem between, of course, having Ben Bishop, who's still one of the best goaltenders in the game today, and Anton Khudobin still being solid. I love that tandem. But overall, I just don't think they have enough offense. I think they're going to get exposed, whoever they play in that first round, especially if they play a team, whether it be the likes of the Edmonton Oilers. I just don't see how they match up well. Then when it comes to the Washington Capitals, the Caps, my biggest worry with them is their goaltending. Can Braden Holtby play like he has in years prior when they won the Stanley Cup, had deep playoff runs? I just don't see it happening. And now that their backup, you know, their goaltender in the future in Ilya Samsonov is now out for the entirety of playoffs due to an undisclosed injury, not being able to bank on him, I think is really going to hurt the Capitals. I think that they very well could lose that first round, whoever they face, whether it be the likes of the Rangers, Hurricanes, whoever it may be, depending on their seeding and the round robin, of course. But overall, I don't feel confident in either team this year. I just have this gut feeling that they won't make a deep run at all. So for all those reasons, I truly think they're not going to get past the first round. And for my next prediction now, and look, I'm not a Penguins fan by any means, but having Jake Guenzel back in the lineup for the Penguins, if they do have a deep run and possibly get to at least the finals, if not the Stanley Cup final, conference final, if not, then the Stanley Cup final, you have to expect Jake Guenzel to be up there in the goal scoring. 40-plus goal scorer, was on pace for another 40 and 40 assist type season this year up until his injury. And overall, when you look at his playoff stats, he has over 24 playoff goals in just over 24 games. 40 games, I should say. And overall, I think Jake Guenzel being healthy back in that lineup is going to do wonders for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I really think that they will have a strong chance of having a deep playoff run, getting past that qualifying round, of course, against the Habs. And I really think Jake Guenzel is going to be slept on by many, just how good of a goal scorer he is. He continues to get overlooked. I don't know why. I know that they have so many weapons on that Pittsburgh team, but overall, Guenzel, I really think, is going to lead the league in goal scoring this year in this year's playoffs, as long as the Penguins have a decent to long playoff run. But yes, for my last prediction, I have, yes, there will be at least one Canadian team we will finally see back in the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, yes, this may be a stretch, especially because the Canadian teams that we see today, whether it be the likes of the Leafs, the Jets, the Oilers, the Canucks, the Flames, there are reasons to go against all of them, truly. But I think when it comes to certain teams, I'm not necessarily going to say who, because I don't want to show a bias or anything like that, because anything can happen. This is just my personal opinion. I do expect at least one Canadian team to make the finals this year. I think it is going to be more than likely that it happens, of course, from the Western Conference, given the fact that that's where the majority of the Canadian teams are in this year's playoffs. Qualifying round versus the Eastern with just the Maple Leafs, but it is still a possibility. I really think this will be the year that a Canadian team is finally back in the finals, which will be fantastic for Canada. Of course, the home of hockey, as we all know, and just great overall. I'm so pumped. I really think that there's a strong chance. Like I said, there's a couple teams there that I'm really betting on that I think are going to have a deep playoff run, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens, right? But without further ado, that is going to conclude this video. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with my 5 bold predictions? Or if not, let me know. I would love to hear it. And let me know your predictions, because odds are they aren't the same as mine, of course, and I would love to hear it. But once again, thank you all so much, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I've been gone for a while. I was sick over the weekend, but I'm feeling almost 100% now, so that's good, of course. That's why I'm back, and you can expect plenty of content from me going forward with hockey officially back. So many great things are going to happen. I'm just so pumped, and you should be too. Hockey is finally back. But like I said, if you do like this kind of hockey content, make sure you like and subscribe. All those great things. I would really appreciate it. Trust me, this is only the beginning of a lot of amazing, great things that happen on this channel again. But without further ado, make sure to check out my previous videos. I'll have them right down here below for you. Some really good ones. With all those things being said, thank you all again, guys, and I'll be back in a day or two.